The day privacy became priceless. There was a moment when privacy stopped being passive. It stopped being background and became the most valuable asset power could own. Nothing dramatic happened publicly. No announcement marked a shift. But quietly, the rules changed forever. For decades, privacy was treated as a preference, something to protect if convenient, something to sacrifice for influence, access, or growth. Then the world accelerated. Data became currency. Exposure became unavoidable. Every action created a trail. And suddenly, privacy was no longer comfort. It was defense. To understand why this matters now, we need to revisit how power once operated. Visibility used to signal legitimacy. Presence meant relevance. Silence implied weakness. That equation no longer holds. Today, exposure invites interference. Attention attracts regulation. Visibility creates leverage for others. The sheiks noticed this before most. They watched how public figures lost control, not through failure, but through access. Every disclosed detail became a pressure point. Every appearance created expectation. Every explanation narrowed future options. Privacy began to invert in value. What was hidden gained strength. What was visible lost flexibility. At first, the shift was subtle. Fewer interviews, less documentation, shorter appearances. Then it accelerated. Entire operations moved out of sight. Decisions relocated to quieter channels. Influence detached from identity. Privacy was no longer about secrecy. It was about freedom of movement. The day privacy became priceless was the day exposure became irreversible. Once something is seen, it cannot be unseen. Once a narrative forms, it cannot be reclaimed fully. Power learned this lesson quickly, because control does not survive transparency. It survives optionality, and privacy was the last remaining source of it. But when privacy becomes valuable, everyone starts competing for it, and competition always changes the cost. What followed was not retreat. It was escalation, a silent race to disappear, without ever looking absent. And that race would redefine how influence operates. In the modern world, as privacy gained value, its scarcity became obvious. Systems were not designed to protect it. They were designed to extract it. Every platform rewarded exposure. Every institution demanded disclosure. Every interaction created permanent records. Privacy was no longer default. It had to be engineered. The sheiks responded methodically. They reduced surface area. Fewer identifiable signatures. Fewer predictable patterns. Identities separated from influence. Decisions were routed through layers. Access was fragmented. No single point revealed the whole picture. This was not concealment. It was decentralization. By distributing presence, pressure could not concentrate. Scrutiny dissolved across structures. Privacy also reshaped relationships. Fewer public alliances, more private understandings. Commitment signaled through action, not documentation. This altered power dynamics immediately. Those seeking leverage struggled. Without visibility, pressure had no target. Without exposure, narratives lost grip. But privacy came at a cost. Distance reduced feedback. Silence increased misinterpretation. Absence invited assumption. The more privacy increased, the more speculation filled the gap. Rumors replaced facts. Interpretations hardened without correction. Influence risked being reframed by outsiders. This created tension. Protect privacy and lose narrative control. Engage publicly and lose freedom. The balance narrowed. To remain effective, privacy could not be total. It had to be selective. And selectivity requires judgment. The sheiks learned to reveal only what stabilized perception, enough to prevent panic, not enough to invite intrusion. Privacy stopped being withdrawal. It became modulation. Visibility turned on and off strategically. Presence appeared briefly, then vanished. Signals were released without context. This confused observers, but preserved autonomy. However, as systems grew more invasive, even selective privacy became harder to maintain. Technology did not pause. Data accumulation did not forget. The question became urgent. Could privacy survive in a world that monetizes attention endlessly? Or was priceless privacy about to become impossible to afford? The conflict emerged when privacy stopped being optional. Exposure was no longer a choice. It was a condition. Surveillance expanded quietly. Financial transparency tightened. Data trails grew permanent. Privacy was not just expensive. It was contested. The sheiks faced a new reality. Hiding was no longer enough. Avoidance no longer worked. Because even absence created data. Movement patterns were tracked. Associations inferred. Silence analyzed. Privacy now required active defense. This changed everything. Passive secrecy failed. Reactive concealment lagged. Only structural privacy could survive. So the strategy evolved. Instead of hiding information, they flooded systems with irrelevance. Noise replaced silence. Redundancy replaced clarity. Multiple entities performed overlapping roles. False patterns diluted real ones. Signals contradicted each other intentionally. Privacy was no longer emptiness. It was saturation. This confused extraction systems. Algorithms struggled to isolate meaning. Oversight drowned in volume. But this came with risk. Complexity increased dramatically. Mistakes multiplied. Coordination became fragile. The margin for error narrowed. At the same time, public tolerance shifted. Societies demanded transparency. Opacity attracted suspicion. The more privacy was defended, the more it was framed as guilt. This reframing was dangerous because power relies on legitimacy, and legitimacy erodes when motives are questioned. The sheiks stood at a crossroads. Defend privacy aggressively and risk backlash. Relax privacy and surrender autonomy. There was no neutral option left. Privacy had moved from preference to battleground, and battles required decisions that reshaped everything afterward. The choice they made would determine whether privacy remained priceless or became obsolete. The climax did not come through disappearance. It came through normalization. Privacy stopped being framed as secrecy and started being framed as infrastructure. The sheiks did not argue for less transparency. They redesigned systems so exposure changed nothing. Information could circulate freely without revealing leverage. Data could be collected without producing clarity. This was a shift. Privacy was no longer about hiding actions. It was about rendering observation harmless. Structures absorbed scrutiny. Layers diffused meaning. Visibility no longer translated into control. That was the revelation. The world could see more than ever, yet understand less than before, because privacy had moved upstream, into architecture, into process, into systems that shape outcomes quietly. This made privacy durable again, not fragile, not defensive, but embedded. The resolution is unsettling. Privacy did not survive by resisting transparency. It survived by outgrowing it, by ensuring that even full visibility revealed nothing actionable. In this new reality, being watched no longer means being constrained. Exposure no longer equals vulnerability. Privacy became priceless because it could not be taken away. It was no longer possession. It was a design principle. And that is the lesson that remains. In a world that sees everything, power belongs to those who decide what seeing actually means. Because the most secure position is not invisibility. It is irrelevance to observation. And once power reaches that point, privacy stops being something you protect. It becomes something no one can use against you. The